My name is Emma. Since I was a little girl, I dreamed of living far from poverty. I would watch rich girls at school with designer bags, expensive perfumes, and shiny cars, while I returned to a small, modest home full of struggles. I always ask myself, why can I have the life they have? As I grow older, one goal dominated my mind to marry a wealthy man and escape my life of poverty. Love didn't matter to me, only security and comfort. I started attending high class parties and nightclubs where wealthy men gathered. I rented expensive, revealing dresses, wore heavy makeup, and acted confident and spoiled. I laughed, danced, and tried to belong to a world I wasn't part of. And then, one night, it happened. An older man noticed me. He was much older than my father, yet wealthy and respected. He approached me and spoke gently, and I immediately felt this could be my chance. Within a few weeks, he proposed marriage, and I agreed with hesitation. I moved into his mansion, surrounded by luxury, travels, fine dining, jewelry, and beautiful clothes. Everything I had dreamed of was suddenly mine. Finally, my dream had come true. But over time, I discovered a side of him I didn't expect it. He loved simplicity. He spent hours in the garden planting flowers. At first, I laughed at him, but gradually I joined him. One day, while we were planting together, he looked at me and said, money comes and goes, Emma, but this flower stay just like our hearts. I smiled and answered, I never imagined I had enjoyed this, but with you, it feels different. He began sharing daily life. One cold evening, I was shivering while reading in the garden. He came over with a blanket and said, why didn't you tell me you were cold? I can't stand seeing you shiver. I took the blanket and replied softly, I didn't want to bother you. He shook his head and said, you could never bother me. I just want you to be safe. Another morning, I walked into the kitchen and saw him making coffee for me. He smiled and said, today, I wanted you to taste coffee made by my hands. Not every day does a diamond like you drink my coffee. I laughed and answered, then it must be the most expensive coffee in the world. He laughed and whispered, the most expensive because it is for you. When I was feeling a little sick, he brought me a tray with warm soup. He sat beside me and said, I don't want anyone else taking care of you. You are not just my wife, you are my world. I looked at him, eyes teary and replied, I never imagined I could find love like this. He held my hand and said softly, I never imagined I could find love like this. He held my hand and said softly, and I never imagined I would someone who would change my life this much. The moment that changed everything was when he handed my flowers from his own garden. He said, people give diamonds and gold, but I want to give you something I planted myself. I smiled and whispered, this means more to me than anything else in the world. At that moment, all my walls fell down. I no longer saw him as just an old wealthy man. I saw him as the person who taught me the meaning of some true love. I married him for money, but over time I found myself truly in love with him. What started as a plan for wealth became a story of love I never expected.